So, back on track. Does peaceful nonviolent engagement represent an attack against the state? Um, I don't think it generally has to be an attack against the state. I think peaceful nonviolent engagement can be an attack against whatever the hell it wants to be an attack against. Um, what is the relationship between committing civil disobedience and accepting punishment for it? Being able to accept a punishment for your crime or whatever you disobeyed just like adds on to the power of your commitment to change. Um, Being able to protest non-violently uh, is, takes a lot of strength of will, and I think you just reinforce it when you're willing to take the punishment because receiving the punishment is worth it as long as you can get your message across. Just that line of thinking is a message in itself. I mean, if I'm willing to go sit in a video game store because they won't let me buy a video game and then I get arrested for it, and I'm willing to get arrested or pay a fine for being where I'm not supposed to be, I mean, just goes to show that like I'm willing to cause disobedience and then pay for it. It's like the hindrance to me is worth it as long as I get a message across. When is it right to criticize the government? I think it's always right to criticize the government. I think it's right to criticize everything, to take into account that not everything is correct, to always be looking for a new truth, to always be looking for some kind of advancement. I mean, criticizing anything can bring about a change for the better for anything. Is the status quo necessarily wrong? I don't I don't believe the status quo is necessarily wrong. I mean, status quo can be great. I mean, there could be something better, but just because something is better doesn't make the previous wrong. I mean, if I'm eating vanilla ice cream and then I find out I can eat mint chocolate chip, doesn't mean the vanilla ice cream was wrong. I mean, the vanilla ice cream was the status quo, but mint chocolate chip was way better. But it wasn't wrong or bad. Delicious. What is the role of personal integrity in a free and democratic society? Um, Personal integrity, it's just like crying wolf. I mean, if you can't maintain your integrity, then eventually no one's going to listen to you. So, I mean, you make an ass of yourself enough, and then you come up with a great idea. Don't expect it to be listened to. Who would want to listen to an ass? uh, what is the role, if any, of martyrdom in society, whether free or totalitarian? I think martyrdom is just that last that last great step you can take in a cause. Uh, do I want to be a martyr? Probably not. But it's just it's the I think it's the greatest form of support you can give to a cause, being able to die for it. It's the greatest sacrifice. And you look back in history, the names that stick out the most, other than the people that have discovered things or won battles, are the people that were willing to die for the causes they believed in. They got the attention of everyone around them because of how far they were willing to go to make a change in society. Um, and that leads to the main question: is whether King would and could convince Socrates to escape. I don't think King would even try to convince Socrates to escape. Um, I think King believed that in order to live a successful life, um, one must be willing to have a cause to die for. I don't remember the quote, but I think it was a man without a cause to die for is not a man at all. Something like that. I think you would have understood the, the thinking, the thought process that Socrates was going through when he had to um, accept his punishment. Um, I don't think they feared death. I think they each had an understanding of death, and that they believed their causes were both worth dying for. They both died for their causes. Um, I think in the end, once you grasp the concept of death, that maybe it makes life more worth living. I mean, what's better, dying for a purpose or dying on accident? I mean, death is going to happen. How do you want it to come? Do you want it to mean something, or are you just going to fear it and eventually just succumb to it, like with regret? Die with regret, or die for your cause. I'm sure there's a way where people can accept death without without uh, dying for a cause. But it just seems like so much more comes out of dying for that cause. Although you could also just live your life for your family. I think that's what most people do. Live, live your life to better yourself and better those around you. Um, I think Socrates had a good understanding of life and death, and there's a quote from the Apology that I like. Uh, and it goes, "This is the truth of the matter, men of Athens. Whenever a man has taken a position that he believes to be best, or has been placed by his commander, there he must, I think, remain and face danger, without a thought for death or anything else, rather than disgrace." I think Socrates understood that as long as you lived your life to the fullest, that death didn't matter. Trying to escape death can lead to some depressing situations. I mean, like being a coward, running away, and having to face the fact that you are a coward can be worse than death. Seems pretty reasonable.